Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. These are recorded live Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to catch the show live, see the in-between stuff, and maybe every once in a while we cut a story from the final edited article. You can catch all of them before they're edited for whatever purpose I do such things. Anyway, today we will be doing privacy, security, AI, business, and silly news. So you can catch the show, of course, or you can just watch these edited downs. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive on into the privacy news. First up, this is maybe good news, I guess. Although Tom's Guide has come up, I've lost some trust in them. Google Maps is going to delete your location history very soon. Here's how to stop it. I don't want to stop it. No. Google can delete it all. Now, this deals with the timeline data on Google. Of course, this has been a controversial thing. A lot of people, when they've been using Google Maps for years and years and years, they hadn't realized that Google is actually storing a lot of data. You can archive it. And if you allow somebody, whether you know you're doing that or not, permissions to see location data, they can actually see access to all your information as well. And a lot of people are coming again, well, you're doing what? You know, like Louis Rossmann had the famous thing, the location data and the voice data. I was telling people, I have these friends that are talking like into their phones like all the time. Instead of texting the message, they're talking to their phone. Like, don't ever do that. Google is taking all that information, saving it, cataloging it, and sending it to like third world children or something to analyze and things like that. Well, what they're doing now is because the world is becoming more privacy conscious, not that Google is necessarily moving back into that don't be evil approach, but they are starting to automatically delete all the information from your timelines from the last 3 months. So right now, by default, everybody's Google account is going to be set to delete all data that's longer than 3 months out. If you want to keep the data longer, you have that option. You can go in, you can change your settings, and you can actually export the data for offline use, which is probably what I would do if I were interested in such data. It would be kind of neat if I had some feature like that turned on. I don't know, maybe I should look into that. I know Nextcloud can do that. But you can turn on the data there, and then you can see where all you've been, which would be an interesting thing. However, for a lot of people, you don't really have a huge need for that. And it's probably better for everybody's privacy and whatnot to disable that kind of stuff. And so Google is doing that. So that's actually a good thing. Of course, Tom's Guide here seems to think that's a bad thing. And they're giving you all the steps to prevent it from doing that, because apparently Tom's Guide is a bunch of idiots. They just don't have any privacy consciousness, which is kind of a problem. But Tom's Guide, you got to bring it around, man. You are bearing my name. You need to stop doing that. All right. No, they're good otherwise. FBI warns people that hackers are filing out fake police data requests to steal people's private information. These thieves will stop at nothing. And they are brazen. Going back even a decade ago, they'd be like, they'd have all your information. And like, oh, how'd they get my information? All the companies and the apps and all the other things and all this data sharing that should be completely illegal in this country, hackers have that data. And most of the time, they didn't have to hack to get it. They just had to buy it. It's not expensive either. And so they buy the data, or they would have the data. This is a decade ago. They'd call you up with a fake IRS scam. And if you weren't buying along, you weren't giving them the gift cards that they were asking for, they would literally call the police and SWAT you. And of course, this is before swatting was a thing. So you'd be sitting in your actual legitimate house. You've just talked to a phone scammer who pretends they're the IRS and want iTunes gift cards. And when you tell them off, they literally call the police, and the police are now surrounding your house, busting your windows in. Well, they're doing similar things now. They are going in, and it's like they want more information about you. They just go ahead and file fake police reports, because we have reached this level in our society that there aren't legitimate judges really weighing these decisions. They get 100 different requests across their desk. They just look at 3 or 4 basic things and rubber stamp it and move on. And this is a fundamental problem. This is why, things like 3 a.m. no-knock warrants need to be abolished. Someone busts in my house at 3 a.m., they might likely get shot out. And if it's the FBI, we're going to have a shootout. And then, of course, I'm on Fox News as the evil white supremacist who tried to shoot at the police. Well, they're the one that busted in my windows at 3 a.m. But the problem is they're rubber stamping all this crap. And because they're doing that, hackers realize this. So if they need more information, they just file fake police reports against you. They send the information to the police. How they're doing this is there were compromised legitimate .gov email addresses. So they were able to get in and hack .gov email addresses, and then they would fill out the warrants from government officials and send these government official emails. They would be sending requests for information. They'd get everything rubber stamped and get everything back. So, the things they couldn't fill in, the police were just, here you go. I guess it came from the government official. And so now this is one of those cases where it's like, I can be as privacy conscious as I want, but if I give my phone number to my neighbor and my neighbor is all about Facebook, now Facebook has my name and my phone number. It had nothing to do with me because we need to stop some of this crap, don't we? And on to our last one here, Webtrackers on websites. Of course, this is something that if you follow my channel, this is a no-brainer. I mean, duh. But 70% of websites share your personal data, even if you don't consent to that. So, of course, we have the GDPR, of course, in EU. We have the California privacy protection laws. And then there's a few other states who have similar laws as well. And these laws are supposed to be such that if you go in and you're prompted with this cookie banner and you hit reject, that's supposed to do something. What we're finding is that's not. So one interesting example of this is on my Think Life Media site, which I don't promote a lot. And if you want to support me, I'd prefer if you support me on Locals, Patreon, or Subscribestar, because that platform sucks. But because I developed the whole platform, if you go on the site without logging in, there's actually, there might still be Google ads on it. I'm not sure if my Google ad account is still running, but there might still be Google ads on that. But as soon as you logged in, the site would check for a login. And if you're logged in, it stripped everything related to Google out of the site. So if you're on Think Life Media, if you're not logged in, there's effectively Google trackers. If you are logged in, there's no trackers. It's completely invisible. And so with me as a little independent developer can do something like that, it's not hard to do. But what this company found is that most companies don't do that. Most companies don't. And so there's this annoying cookie banner, and whether you hit accept or reject, all of these tracking cookies are still working and they're still sending up data. And it's not that these companies are selling your data. Like Facebook, we don't sell your data. No, they don't sell your data. They share your data. Okay, they lease your data, but leasing is different than buying. I mean, think about all of the people who purchased movies on their Sony accounts, and then now all these things like Mythbusters is being stripped away from you. Oh, you didn't really buy it, you leased it, you rented access to it. We're revoking that now. And that's really what's going on here, is that Facebook doesn't necessarily sell your data, but they provide access to your data. And that really is the distinction here. And it is a distinction without a difference in all reality. So it's the same thing if I go out to the movie rental store. I can rent a movie, bring it back, and I can make a copy of it. Nothing's going to stop me from doing that, except if I have scruples about the law and things like that, which fortunately I do, but not everyone does. So what this organization did is they did their report. They found that most European and United States websites are at risk of privacy violations. Experts scanned 100 of the most visited websites in the U.S. and in Europe in September 2024, verified consent compliance with California Privacy Rights Act and the General Data Privacy Regulation in the EU, of course. To do so, they used Bravado.ai's automated consent monitoring technology. Team was especially surprised to see 74% of European websites analyzed did not honor the opt-in request as required by GDPR. U.S. websites rank at a very similar rate of 76%, not respecting opt-out consent as required by CPRA. For both regions, experts note the majority, 99% of non-compliance, was due to data sharing with advertising and third parties. You see, they don't realize, and this is true because the owner of the company hires out the web developer. The web developer just, of course you want Google Analytics, of course you want Facebook, of course you want TikTok tracking, of course you want every bit of analytics and data tracking we can possibly get because we need this data to tell you how well you're doing. And what they don't realize is that those things are collecting the data in such a way that is violating the laws. They just don't realize that. And so it has to do with the fact that the website owners are not the ones actually putting in the code, and the guys putting in the code don't really care. Especially if the website owner wants a full statistics and analytics package, they have no way of doing that without adding these, unless, of course, they're not lazy and they use their own in-house data analytics. Like I have on the Switch to Linux website, all the analytics is collected on my own server. There is, if you go over there and have a look at the source code, the Google stuff is coming in from the Odyssey videos. Every one of the video platforms. YouTube obviously uses Google Analytics. So does Rumble. So does Odyssey. So does BitChute. I looked at all of them. They all are keeping analytics with Google. So if I want to embed a video on my website, I either have to use a service that uses Google, or I have to self-host it, which is extraordinarily expensive. So I can't do that. So if you go to the website at switchedtolinux.com and have a look at the source code, there are Google trackers because of the video platforms, not because of anything I'm doing. All of my tracking is all done on my own server. Nothing is leaving that same exact server that the site is on. The statistics are being collected, and I can glean from that anything I want to glean, as if I have time to look at such records. But this is kind of what we're seeing. Now, I want to look at the data, but of course, Bravado.ai would like, first, I wonder if they're accepting or denying the cookie settings. In fact, if I hit deny cookies, in fact, and I look at the source code, I was still able to find, oh, look, Google Analytics is tracking me. Look at that. I did not consent to cookies being tracked, and this whole company making us think about it is actually still tracking me. Come on. But of course, to see the report, I have to give up my data. So I have to go to the State of the Web's 2024 State of the Website Privacy Report. I can't read it without giving them my email address. So it seems like there's a little bit of the pot calling the kettle black. So yeah, this is how bad it is, guys. There people are making a big deal about it, and they themselves are doing the very same things they're accusing everybody else of not doing. All right, moving on. On to security news. That should have been SillyVille. All right, on to security news. Here is a new way that hackers are getting around malware, and this is zip file concatenation. So this is, if you're utilizing a zip technology, you might split a zip archive into a couple of different parts. You might have part 1, part 2, part 3, or in this case, what they're doing is there's a zip file, and then within there is a few different zip files that all put themselves together. Well, it turns out that the 3 different ways people use unzip programs behave completely different. If you're using 7-zip, it only reads the first zip archive. If you're using WinRAR, it reads both zip structures. And if you're using the Windows File Explorer, it only opens the second one. And so because of this, if they put the malware in the first file, they put the malware over there in the first of those files, then anybody using 7-zip will catch the malware and block it. But anyone using WinRAR will block it. But if you're using Windows only, it'll move past all of the detection because it only looks for malware in the second zip file in the concatenation. And so this is an interesting way that they can filter out based on that. And they can even get statistics as to which one of these systems you're using, because if the malware gets through, well, you're either using 7-zip or Windows File Explorer based on the data that you have. And so this is a very interesting way. Of course, they're putting the malware in there in the zip file. You open the zip file and it will extract both the files, and then it's going to download the payload from there, assuming that you're using one of the ones that would allow the file to get through. So very interesting. These guys are getting tricky. And not only are they getting tricky, they're also going back to the basics. The good old-fashioned way of installing malware from the first malware ads is back. Yes, advertisers are now pushing ad blocker pop-ups on their websites in order to get you to download malware. Yes. So you go to the website, and up here is the website. I think this looks like, is this Safari? I don't know. You go to the website, and it says, attention, please install AdBlock Pro browser extension to continue watching in safe mode. So you hit this install button, and then you end up getting the push notification blocker. Of course, your browser can block push notifications as well, but here it goes in and why can't there? It says there's two images there. I can't get to the other one though. But you get in here and or maybe that's one. Oh yeah, that's one image. See, it tricked me even. Oh, look at that. I might have just installed the malware. So down here, you install the thing, which is going to allow you, it says here, notifications for the site are currently blocked. Do you want to allow them? Allow or continue blocking them. Isn't that great? And so, of course, what happens once you install this type of thing is it can read all of your data and then it starts to inject things into your browsing experience. So most likely the Malwarebytes researchers determined this is probably done by an affiliate push company. So effectively what they're doing is they're installing this thing to periodically inject an affiliate link into your browser, which will of course give them commissions for doing things. So if you go to a web page and anything pops up unexpected like this, you got to really be cautious about it. You know, I had a client just send me, your PayPal account is not in PCI compliance. Yeah, this is not from PayPal. Thank you. Send it back. This is a scam. Don't, ignore this. So there's what's going on in your security news. And next, of course, we have a little bit of AI news. Next. So Google is releasing a new AI. Of course, the fundamental purpose is, or actually not their purpose. Their purpose is to revolutionize education with AI. The fundamental result is going to be the further dumbing down of people into sheer blibbering idiots. We are fast approaching idiocracy, and AI is helping us get there. So this is a new AI learn model from Google. So what they're doing on this one is they're allowing the same prompts as you might get on any other large language model, only they're building this one out with a lot more of what they consider interactive or more fact interesting things. Rather than a large language model, including Google Gemini, just spitting out the basic facts, they are actually giving you a lot more quote unquote interactive things to do. So how big is the universe? Both answered that the observable universe is about 93 billion light years in diameter. However, while Gemini opted to show a Wikipedia provided diagram of the universe and the 2-paragraph summary with links to sources, the learn about, when I use the word learn about, that is the name of the AI. Apparently they're borrowing marketing and branding ideas from Microsoft because this is ridiculously stupid. So learn about emphasizes an image from the educational site Physics Forum and added related content that was similarly focused more on learning than simply observing facts and definitions. And so, Wikipedia versus some physics education site, that's your difference. Okay, it's just pulling things from a different source than Wikipedia. So the idea here is that they just want to have some basic information with a lot more interactivity to it. So the first one is the learn about, very similar, but we're getting explore related content, more videos and stuff like this, whereas the old Gemini is just straight about the facts. They said learn about's response also created textbook style boxes, give you additional contexts like why it matters, and also if something was a commonly searched misconception term. Maybe I'm thinking something like, what's the brightest star in the night sky? Most people still think it's the North Star. It's not. And so it would give you a dialog box with what's correct and what's not. And if you're curious, North Star is only significant because it points directly to the North Pole. The brightest star in the night sky in the Northern Hemisphere is Sirius, which is actually in the southern sky. So don't rely on that if you are doing that. Of course, they did also ask it, what's the best type of glue to put on pizza? And obviously, it is not falling for that one right now because they've specifically interfered with that one. Learn about tries to explain why you shouldn't put glue on pizza, despite all those preschoolers constantly eating paste. So, yeah, whatever. I think that's kind of nonsense, but I have to admit, of all of the AI, of everything I've always said negative about AI, and trust me, I mean every word of it, there is an AI that I can get behind, and it's this one. This is Daisy. Daisy AI. There is something beautiful about Daisy. Daisy is the AI grandma that will answer phone calls from scammers and waste their time. So the scammer calls you, Daisy picks up the phone, and it just keeps them on the phone for hours thinking they're talking to an old lady. Here is a sample. This is just the introduction of a lady.
Hello, scammers. I'm your worst nightmare. I'm an AI created by O2 to waste phone scammers' time. So, W's then a dot.
3 times W and then dot.
I think your profession is bothering people, right?
I'm just trying to have a little chat.
It's nearly been an hour! For the love of...
Gosh, how time flies. It's showing me a picture of my cat, Fluffy.
It's showing you a picture of your cat, Fluffy.
Stop calling me dear, you stupid.
Got it, dear. Because while they're busy talking to me, they can't be scamming you. And let's face it, dear, I've got all the time in the world.
So whilst you...
Yeah, I can get behind this AI. All right, all right, you got me, AI. There's one I can get behind. It's Daisy to waste the scammer's call. They're gonna be like, of course they're gonna find a way to get around Daisy inside of a day, but you know. So there you go. The AI scammer Daisy is moving along, and that is, of course, that is a totally epic one. If you want to help support the channel, we do have a new book out, my book Code Red. And this is a collection of short stories. Of course, these are the same stories we got last year. If you are a Patreon or Locals or Subscribe Store or Think Life Media supporter, then you have read these stories. But if you'd like the whole archive in one book, it is available over here. Softcover, ebook, and audiobook. tlm.li/code red. That lands you on this page, which is our publisher's page. And you can actually... let me allow this once. There's an audio sample, so you can listen to the first part of the book over here, and there are some samples of the book here. So if you want to have a look at the first couple pages of the book, we have that available for you to read. And then we have, this is not all of the links. I need to go back through here soon and update the links a little bit more, but you can see some of the places. Basically, if you can buy a book online, softcover, ebook, or audiobook, you can probably find it there. So you can have a look at Code Red. You can look that up, and you can usually find it with Code Red in my name, Murawski, and that will help you find the book. With that, let's move on over to business news next. First up in business news, for anybody that likes your fun streaming stuff for free, FreeVee is being shut down. Of course, FreeVee was Amazon's free streaming service. You go to FreeVee, you watch things with ads, and then Amazon's like, why are we paying all this money to have FreeVee up? All they did is they basically turned Amazon Prime, the lower level, into FreeVee and started charging for it. So now you can get everything on FreeVee over there on Amazon Prime. You're paying money to access it, and you still have ads. It's the best of Amazon's world. You're getting screwed, but you know, the Amazon's doing great. Of course, you can pay Amazon more money and get rid of most of the ads. Like, you can get your shows stop being interrupted, but they're still going to show you ads in between things, because we have to figure out how to cram ads in every spare second. I mean, it's what Microsoft does, right? But they are shutting down FreeVee, and this is deeply frustrating, because the reality is that more and more people, they got rid of their DVDs and their players. They're like, oh, the streaming service is so convenient, and now they realize that they're part of the WF's game, and they're just like, it's 2030, I own nothing, and I'm going to pretend to be happy because I don't really have a choice. And so Amazon is doing this. It's becoming more problematic to watch the content you want to watch. This is why I implore people, buy DVDs, keep yourself a digital server going if you are in a place where you can do that. And honestly, like, I'm trying to help my brother right now and figure out how to block ads for his daughter's program, because like the stopping for the ad break actually is causing problems there, because it's like interrupting the show and not knowing what this all means and stuff. And I'm just like, I have a hard time relating. I've not seen an ad in a long time. Like, my phone blocks ads, my computers block ads, everything block ads. I block ads on the network level. I block ads on the server level. I mean, I just can't relate to this, but this is the world we're being pushed into, where it was like, okay, you could get it for free with advertising. You could pay it and not have ads. Now you can't get it for free with advertising anymore. And I realize there's still a few of those out there. I'm sure they'll probably go away soon too. But now it's like you got to pay and you have ads to watch your content. And it's completely nonsense. So there's that. Temu in the news over in the EU. Temu must respect consumer protection laws. Now, they get around a lot of the types of laws by being direct drop shippers. This is a fairly new way of doing business. And we're actually going to see in SillyVille, Amazon is starting to experiment with the same thing. But we're seeing a lot more of these drop shippers where the companies selling the products don't actually keep any inventory. They're just a pass-through. They're a place that is developing a platform or a source that people go to. They click the button and then they give Temu the money, and then Temu passes the order over to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer ships over. Now, this Temu gets around tariffs in the United States, for example, because to get the tariff to apply, the company would have to ship a large, massive group orders over in order to have those tariffs apply. But if it's under a certain threshold, it doesn't. And so what they do is Temu collects the order, that sends it out to all the different manufacturers, and the manufacturers are just sending small orders over in droves, and it gets around all the forms of tariffs as well. So, you know, the Trump plan to get rid of all tax to run tariffs, Temu may or may not be applied unless they start dropping that threshold a little bit, which actually might be a good thing for our society as we stop dumping money into this massively abusive company called Temu, which is just selling us cheap nonsense. But the other things that they were doing is doing a lot of the dark patterns, which are illegal in many places. Well, the EU stepped in and said, yeah, you're doing all of this stuff and you need to stop. So the CPC network, made up of national consumer authorities, 27 EU member states, Norway, and Iceland. The problems the investigation found cover every aspect of misleading advertising one can think of. Temu's doing fake discounts, telling buyers that the items are offered with a discount when in reality there's the same price or even higher than before. Pressure selling, claiming the items are in short supply or need to be purchased before a deadline. The forced gamification, forcing consumers to play spin the fortune wheel before accessing the platform without making any of them aware of the conditions attached to the use of claiming the rewards in the game, missing or misleading information, giving incomplete and or incorrect information about customers' legal rights to return goods and receive refunds. Temu also fails to tell customers up front that they need to reach a minimum value before they can complete their purchase. Fake reviews, hosting suspected unauthentic reviews, and providing inadequate information about how Temu ensures the authenticity of reviews published on the website, and hidden contract details, deliberately making hard for customers to contact Temu for questions and complaints. So effectively, they are coming out and giving them strongly worded letters. Actually, this is the EU, so they're probably going to leverage a massive fine or something. You know, like this is how the EU makes their money these days. Find a big company and send them a bill. Sounds great. You're breaking some law. Here, pay us. Just don't go overboard like Russia did. All right. Temu responded, although we have gained popularity with many consumers in a relatively short time, we are still a very young platform, less than 2 years in the EU, and we're actively learning and adapting to local requirements. In other words, we don't give a crap. We didn't really care about what your laws were. We didn't look into them. We just started doing crap. All right. Not only is that, Temu is facing a problem. In June, we reported the Chinese online shopping giant facing a lawsuit in the state of Arkansas for alleging that the retailer's mobile app spies on the users, of course. And a cybercriminal claimed to be stolen a database of 87 million records, although they denied that particular breach. Effectively, though, Temu is violating a lot of laws, and this is a very abusive company. If you want a company not to ever do business with, Temu is it. This is a massively abusive platform. The stuff they sell is just absolute garbage. This is the epitome of consumption to the nth degree of sheer stupidity and insanity. Temu, just stop doing business with this company. Let them wither up and die in a little corner. Unfortunately, most of our world is going to keep allowing their crap. Unfortunately. And Apple is quietly discontinuing flagship device due to lackluster sales. They're saying flagship device. I'm not sure why Daily Mail thinks the Vision Pro is a flagship device. An iPhone would be a flagship device. A MacBook Pro might be a flagship device. A Vision Pro headset? No, that's an overly priced device. That is not a flagship of Apple by any means. But what has effectively came out is the purchase rate of these was so low, the return rate was so high, and the reviews are not all that great, such that the company has cut its manufacturing of these devices in half, suggesting that people don't really want this type of technology. In reality, we haven't really seen any virtual reality or augmented reality type system which actually has gone off the market. Like, none of these have come to the market. Like, if anybody was going to be successful, it would be Apple. Apple has failed. Facebook has failed. Microsoft has failed. Google has failed. These companies have all failed at this type of stuff because it's just not useful and viable for what you're doing. You're not going to sit there with this thing on your head. It's going to mess up your neck muscles. It's going to your neck muscle. I said what? Neck muscles? I don't know what neck is. You're going to mess up your neck muscles. It's going to, usually it causes you to have disorientation and headache. There's a lot of problems to these things. And mostly it's just all about interesting gimmicks. Sure, you can see something that would be a little bit different from something you otherwise see, but at the same time, there's really nothing to this. And so they are actually cutting back their costs quite a bit. And really none of these are doing amazingly well. So that's for the whole article. We're not going to go through all of it, but the whole article is Apple is discontinuing them. They're not really discontinuing. They're cutting back the manufacturing. I don't know. Daily Mail is just not a very reputable place, I guess. Anyway, with that though, let's go ahead and have a look at your favorite place and mine. Let's go to SillyVille. First up, this isn't really tech related. I just love this article. There is a surgeon in Turkey, and they are doing nose jobs, making people look like Who's from Whoville. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Dr. Seuss inspired nasal surgery is going viral thanks to the videos out of Turkey. And of course, Not the Bee did have to write the whole article in rhyme. So some of the schnozzers were too long and some were too wide. Some of the nostrils flared and some had bumps on the side. Some were too short and some were long as a shrew. But in the end, they all resemble the Whoville Who. So there you have it, guys. You can now get a nose job going. Okay, I have no idea if that's copyrighted stuff. So, wing! Look at that. We got a Whoville Who. Look at that. There you have it, folks. There you have it. There's actually full videos to this surgeon has gone viral. Actually released a lot of them. So she snipped and tucked to the utmost care. She sewed their sniffers right up in the air. Isn't that great? So. And of course, the Grinch is saying this. This is it's no wonder the Grinch hated all those Who's. hate, double hate. All right. So, rhyming aside, favorite thing to come out of this is discovering a plastic surgeon named Dr. Yun who posts reaction videos on YouTube that are both entertaining and educational. So, there you go. There's a new one. Here's the old, and there's the new nose. Okay. Well, if you want a Whoville Who knows, you know where to go, guys. Head on to Turkey. All right. Amazon is now, after that whole rant about Temu, now Amazon is like, hey, somebody else is doing something. It's like YouTube and TikTok. Like, why are all these companies allowing Chinese brands to come in and pollute their platforms? Like YouTube Shorts. Can we just end those stupid things? Really? I mean, now Temu comes in with their panel of cheap junk. Now Amazon launches Haul to fill your stockings for under $25. So this is not even available on the Amazon website, you have to be on the phone, which is much like Temu. There's just no shopping on Temu on your computer. It's all like the ADD phone. Buy. Well, Amazon is now doing the same exact thing. They have collected this giant collection of nonsense garbage, which most of it, by the way, is the exact same stuff you get drop shipped from Temu. Amazon has this huge drop shipping problem, and I'm sick of it. To the point where I wish I could order things from places other than Amazon, but they've killed about everybody else. But frankly, since they already have the information, I don't really want to give my information to some other third party that's not security conscious. But that being said, Amazon now releases haul. Look at this ADD nonsense. Like trigger warning if you're epileptic. Look at this crap. It's just perpetually scrolling and fast and scrolling and 10% on 75, free shipping on 25, bright colors, amazing things. This is like ADD nightmare. Holy crap. And of course, nothing of this is good quality. Nothing of this is anything useful. It's just part of that buying into the American nonsense of dumping our money into the most generic crap we'd ever possibly have in our life so we can fill up our whole homes with useless, absolute nonsense. But this is what it takes to make companies, the money. And, we need to maybe slow down on that a little bit. I don't know. And on to our last story here. Britain's oldest satellite from 50 years ago, which is named Skynet, was purposely moved 50 years ago, and no one quite knows why. It's supposed to be on the western side of Africa, and instead it is hovering not too far from California over the Pacific Ocean. So a satellite named Skynet is hovering over California, and if they want to drop some Terminators there and blow the place up, I'm probably okay with that. But is anyone else vaguely unsettled about a half-century-old mystery? Now, the United States built this satellite, and then they handed it over to UK, but there were times that the UK managing base was down for maintenance, in which case the people who controlled the satellite took a trip over to, I think it was in San Diego. No, it was in Sunnyvale, California. They would go over there and they would make control over there. And it is hypothesized that about 50 years ago, somebody, for some unknown reason, moved the spy satellite from over where it was supposed to be over to hovering over the United States. Now, the problem is it's actually a 60 or 70-year-old satellite, which is 69, launched in 69. And it is actually decommissioned. So it's a giant piece of space debris that's hovering up there, which is going to cause some problem for something. And when it comes tumbling down, who knows? It might land in the middle of Los Angeles and clean the place up a little bit. I don't know. But there is this mystery Skynet satellite that's hovering around outside of California, and nobody quite knows why it's there or who moved it or why. So, very fascinating. Let me know if you have ideas as to what Skynet's doing up there. Is it just waiting for the AI revolution? We know what the bomb. We know a bomb in 1997 will be dropped on Los Angeles, right? Terminator 2 showed us that. So I don't know. It was delayed a little bit. It didn't happen in 97. Maybe it's going to happen in 2097. Maybe it's going to happen in 2027. Who knows? I mean, that's a few years in the future. So anyway. If you want to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TOMM, if you want to jump on over there. And, of course, you can gain access to the short stories. This is a spot. Interesting. You can buy my books over there. I'm not sure why they're not over there now. There you go. You can click that button over there, and you can pick up the audiobook or the ebook for Code Red. We also have... I think, it should still be valid. Last month's story over there, you can actually pick that up as an individual purchase over there as well. Of course, you can jump in on the Thursday shows, the on-air or the off-air parts over on Patreon, patreon.com/TOMM. With that, thanks for watching and hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.